to the Ortiz and Madrimov fight. So we could talk. Let's start there. Let's start there, and then we can get into that with Ortiz and Conwell and stuff. But yeah, what do you think about Ortiz and Madrimov?
Excellent performance from Ortiz. I was impressed.
Hmm.
I was impressed. It looked like he was getting outboxed a little bit, but he was doing something that was real smart. He kept making he was carrying Madrimov a little bit too fast. And Madrimov was burning a lot of energy, hopping around on his legs a lot, and it wore him down over time. And Ortiz was kind of just real calm with the pressure. He was just using his jab. He was real smart, and he put Madrimov in the blender late. Like he made Madrimov like almost panicking. That was good. That was good, smart pressure. I was impressed by Ortiz. To me, that was his best performance as a pro, and he didn't get a knockout. I know he got a lot of knockouts, but he's improved. I was impressed with him. He did a real good job.
People are always gonna do the triangle theory, coach. You know that. And you know it doesn't work, but in the same time, they're gonna say, listen, that performance that he had was nothing like Terrence and Madrimov. He looked a lot more he looked like he had more control. But in the same token, you got you know, Eddie Hearn talking about that he had bronchitis or something like that, and it seemed like he threw away some of the later rounds. What do you got to say about that?
I don't know. I mean, everybody seemed to be getting sick over there, so I wouldn't put it past him. But I don't want to compare his performance to Crawford's performances. Different fights, they different fighters. Ortiz is a pressure fighter. Crawford could come forward and walk you down and press you and stuff, but that's really not his game. Crawford fought Madrimov. He was undefeated. People saying Crawford got hurt by Gamboa at 135. How could he take Spence's punches at 147? Well, he did. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, he did. Got to be careful with that. It's just two different fights. It's two different fights. It's two different, like, it doesn't work. George Foreman knocked out Joe Frazier and Ken Norton in 2 rounds apiece. Joe Frazier and Ken Norton beat Muhammad Ali and took him the full distance every time they fought, except once. But does that mean George Foreman could beat Muhammad Ali? When they get in the ring, it didn't work out that way.
Right.
So um, Crawford fought a different fight. Crawford is a counterpuncher. He's trying to make Madrimov lead, and Madrimov is throwing Crawford off with his rhythm and his foot probing, where Ortiz is walking him down. Different fight. And Ortiz got to watch Crawford fight him first to pick up on little things. Ortiz sparred them before because they both trained in California. Just totally different fights. And I'm not taking anything away from Ortiz. I was really impressed with him. And I think he's one of the best 54 pounders in the world. But I can't take away from Crawford's performance and win because Ortiz beat Madrimov. Two different fighters.
Who do you feel like had more success on Madrimov?
Uh, Maybe Ortiz. Seemed like Ortiz put more punishment on him, but
Yeah.
he also busted Ortiz up more. So it's close, but maybe Ortiz.
So after the fight, Oscar De La Hoya just mentioning two names. Just Ortiz versus Crawford or Ortiz versus Jerome Boots Ennis. Um, what do you think about those matchups right now? Did you learn anything more from Ortiz fighting Madrimov? Did you need to see that type of performance to see where Ortiz was at to be able to make a prediction on those per se fights that I just mentioned?
Before those fights, I would favor Crawford and Ennis by a lot over Ortiz. After those fights, after this fight with Wichicom, I think he's improved, and I think that he got better. He improved since his Boachuk fight. He was a little bit more calmer. His wasn't reaching. He was placing his shots a little bit better. He just had more poise in his approach. So I think that he's a little bit closer to them now. He's only 26, so I think he's just he closed the gap. But I still would favor both of them over him. I favor Crawford and Ennis over Ortiz. But I think they will
Do you,
be all competitive fights.
do you think there'll be competitive fights? Now,
Yeah.
getting into that super chat, what do you think about, I think we mentioned it in the past, of Ortiz and, Charles Conwell. Uh, what do you think about that per se
That fight
match?
got
They're in the
closer
same.
too. That fight got closer too. Um, I'm a big fan of Conwell. I don't know him personally, but I think he's a really good fighter. I do. I really do. I think it's a shame that he hasn't had opportunities earlier in his career because he's been a pro for a minute now. But I love the way he fights. I love his calm pressure. He kind of reminds me of a fighter from my area named Dwight Muhammad Kwawi. Um, Ortiz has them fast hands, and he has a hand speed advantage over Conwell. And the judges hate to say it, but they're gonna be on Ortiz's side. So I think it's about 50-50. Um, I think it's about 50-50, and I would expect a controversial decision. I can't really pick a winner right now.
Mm.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight to score.